Deals with your favorite host. Or shop 24/7 at KSHP.com. Go to KSHP.com and select Shopper's Guide to browse hundreds of businesses featured on the show. Place your order online and we'll have it shipped right to your front door. With so many possibilities, it's hard not to shop.
As a 3-time international award-winning restaurant, Joe's New York Pizza uses only the freshest and best available ingredients. From giant slices of hand-tossed pie to calzones, strombolis, fingers, and wings, Joe's serves all your favorites. Stop in for a slice at one of their 2 Las Vegas locations at Paradise and Harmon or South Las Vegas Boulevard, or you can check out their menu at joesnewyorkpizzalv.com.
Whether you're a corporate executive, on a family vacation, or just passing through, St. George Inn & Suites will meet your specific needs. It's conveniently located near restaurants, shopping, and movie theaters. St. George Inn & Suites offers a variety of room types, 2 fabulous pools and jacuzzis, a fitness center, a free full hot buffet breakfast, and laundry facilities. To make your booking, call 435-673-6661 or book online at stgeorgeinnhotel.com. You need to stop in Southern Utah? Make that stop at St. George Inn & Suites.
STN Sports is the only sports betting app you need this season. STN Sports has it all. In-play betting, mobile parlay cards, the Play Plus card to fund and withdraw from anywhere in Nevada, and the latest lines on every game. STN Sports even lets you earn rewards on every bet. Safe and easy betting from your phone or tablet. Go to stationcasinosports.com or sign up at any Station Casino, Fiesta Wildfire, or the El Cortez. Details at the sportsbooks.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
What's up, Las Vegas? Happy Election Day. Yeah. So glad you could join us on this Election Tuesday. You found the right place to be, unless you want to listen to Republican echo chamber radio. There's plenty of shows like that to go around, but that's not what I do here. I try to give it to you straight, my friends. Try to challenge people on misinformation, and boy, we got a lot of it going around, especially today. I'll explain. We got Michelle Mortensen, 8-time Emmy winner, joining us at the bottom of the hour. Her thoughts on Election Day and the doings of what's going on, who's going to win, who's going to lose. I actually made a few political bets. I guess you could say illegally, offshore, because it's not legal in this country. I did make a few bets. I'll talk a little bit about that. And then we got my good friend Sara Spector joining us, hour number 2, the former assistant DA of Uvalde, Texas. She is one of the few outspoken Democrats out there campaigning for Beto O'Rourke, so we'll talk to her. That's a big race out there. Beto O'Rourke versus Governor Abhole, I like to call him. That is a big gubernatorial race with national consequences and plenty here at home. So we got a lot to get to. We got a lot to talk about today. This is a big day for this country in a lot of different ways, and I'll explain right off the bat here. So inflation comes and goes. And if you want to play the blame game and you want to blame Joe Biden and Democrats for inflation, you can go ahead and you can do that, even though it's not factually accurate. Inflation is pretty much up all over the world. There's a lot of different reasons for that, but I'm not going to dive into details on inflation today. But inflation does come and go. But if we lose our democracy, that might never come back in this country. Now, what do I mean? There are over 300 election deniers either in office or running for office across the country. We have several of them here. Jim Marchant, who's running for Secretary of State. Of course, Adam Laxalt, Sigal Chattah. What would happen if Jim Marchant was the Secretary of State? He's pretty much already said that if Democrats win under his watch, he's not going to certify an election. So we can discuss policy differences between Democrats and Republicans. And listen, I'm not really talking to Democrats now, and I'm probably not talking to a lot of independents like myself either. I'm talking to Republicans out there. Republicans out there that are voting for the Kerry Lakes of the world. Republicans out there that will probably vote for the Adam Laxalts and the Jim Marchants of the world. This is the end of our democracy as we see it, and I am not over-dramatizing things here. That is what we are dealing with. These people either do not live in reality or they're lying because they just want to be elected and they just want to have it their way. Now, you might be saying, Brian, what are you talking about? Well, let me be very clear on this. If Republicans win tonight, the House and the Senate, we are not going to have an insurrection. Governor Sisolak will probably be the first person to call Joe Lombardo and concede the election and wish him the best of luck. We are not going to have riots on the streets. We're not going to have violence. But what happens tonight if Democrats win? We're going to have riots. There's going to be violence. And Republicans are going to be lying and saying that there was fraud and the Democrats cheated. That is the difference between both political parties today. Are there a few Looney Tune Democrats out there? Sure. But the overwhelming majority of Democrats believe in our democracy and they want it to work. The overwhelming number of Republicans today that are running for office or already in office are election deniers, complete liars, and do not live in reality. I'll give you an example today alone what many Republicans, one of my former coworkers in radio who I am so happy I don't have to work with anymore because I can't handle conspiracy theories, I can't handle ignorance, is on social media saying the Democrats are already cheating in Arizona. Now, obviously, that is a lie, and I will explain, because if you go on social media today, Republicans are making it out that what is going on in Maricopa County today is cheating by the Democrats, and it's not, and there's no evidence of that. Here is what is going on, and I'm going to give you guys the facts, something that Republicans don't want to hear. There were some machines that malfunctioned in Maricopa County today. What does that mean? Well, simply put, sometimes machines malfunction. When you have tens of thousands of machines, a few malfunction. So in Maricopa County, they had a list of things to do because the machines weren't working. Number one, you could just wait. Number two, you could cast your ballot in a drop box, and then that will be sent downtown where a Republican and a Democrat will count the ballots legally. And there were other machines or other counties that you could go to vote. You had several other options. There is zero evidence that Democrats are cheating in these machines, and the Republicans that are actually on site confirmed that. Yet Kerry Lake and her campaign are lying. They put out, her campaign or her, put out on social media today that if you cast a ballot in one of these boxes, your vote may now be counted for weeks. That is a lie, according to even Republicans that are on site who said that was not true. The votes will be counted tonight by a Republican and a Democrat. Kerry Lake is lying. Now, why would they be doing that? Why would Kerry Lake be lying? I'll tell you why. The same reason why Donald Trump lied before the 2016 election. Do you remember when he was running against Hillary Clinton? And in the days, weeks, and months before that 2016 election, Donald Trump said, "It's rigged. The Democrats are going to cheat. These elections are rigged." And then Donald Trump won in 2016. Did he say he was wrong? No. Silence. Because what they are trying to do is prepare you that in case they lose, they'll say, "Told you so. Democrats are cheating. They cheated in the election." That's what they are trying to do, and that's what they are trying to prepare you for. That is what Kerry Lake is doing. And I believe Donald Trump is going to choose her as his running mate in the 2024 presidential election as the vice president. I cannot believe, and I'm going to ask Michelle Mortensen this at the bottom of the hour, I cannot believe that anybody would vote for this despicable woman in Kerry Lake. She is despicable. She is disgusting in every sense of the word, despicable. She is a liar. She is an election denier. She is a conspiracy theorist. She's no better than QAnon. And yet so many people in Arizona have voted for her. Because you would rather put an attack on what makes this country so great. What I love about this country, the word is freedom and democracy. Freedom in our elections, democracy. And she has attacked that like Donald Trump taking a page from the MAGA playbook in attacking our democracy. She has said that if she loses, she will not concede. as many other MAGA Republicans throughout the country have said. So I am speaking to you Republicans now, and it probably won't work, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you are voting for Jim Marchant or Adam Laxalt or Sigal Chattah, that is an attack on our democracy. And it's shame on you. So while your Republican friends might win, don't you care about this country and democracy and freedom? Does that not matter to you? I'll open up the phone lines. Who did you vote for today? Who are you hoping wins? Do you think that the Democrats are cheating? The number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, now is the time to call. Again, that number, 702-221-7283, if you want to be a part of the conversation. This is a very important day for this country. Bill Maher knows it. Here's what Bill Maher recently said on his show about this day today.
Rules are about to go out the window. Tuesday is Election Day, and I know I should probably tell you to vote in what, honest to God, is really the most important election ever. So, okay, yes, you should vote. And it should be for the one party that still stands for democracy preservation. But it's also a waste of breath, because anyone who believes that is already voting, and anyone who needs to learn that isn't watching, and no one in America can be persuaded of anything anymore anyway.
So he's right. And Bill Maher went on to talk about what is going to happen to this country if Republicans take over tonight. Here's what he had to say about that.
So here's what's going to happen. Republicans will take control of Congress, and next year they'll begin impeaching Biden and never stop. They'll impeach him for getting out of Afghanistan and getting into Ukraine. For inflation, for recession, for falling off his bike, it won't matter and it won't make sense. But Biden will be a crippled duck when he goes up against the 2024 Trump Kari Lake ticket. And even if Trump loses, it doesn't matter. On Inauguration Day 2025, he's going to show up, whether he's on the list or not. And this time, he's not going to take no for an answer, because this time he will have behind him the army of election deniers that is being elected in 4 days. There are almost 300 candidates on the ballot this year who don't believe in ballots. And they'll be the ones writing the rules and monitoring how votes are counted in 24. The facts, the policies, the behavior don't matter anymore. Trump could be filmed throwing a baby off a bridge and still win. Not to give Herschel Walker any idea.
I'll tell you something, he's right. Can you imagine if Herschel Walker wins tonight? What an embarrassment to this country. And I'm not talking to Democrats, they know what I'm saying. I'm not talking to most independents. They understand what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking to the far right idiots out there, because you're so far gone, nobody can convince you of anything. If you're following Kari Lake and Donald Trump, then I can't convince you of anything, because you're just brain dead. You're lost. I am speaking to my reasonable Republican friends right now. There's not many of them, but there are some, and there are a few that I voted for. I'm speaking to you now. I know you don't like Democrats. I know you don't like some of their policies. I understand that. I know you want to blame Joe Biden for everything. I know you hate our president. But listen to me when I tell you that democracy is at stake here. That's what makes this country great. We actually have real elections, unlike some in the Middle East that are fixed, or in Russia that are fixed. Is that what we want this country to look like? I understand you're angry that gas prices are high, that you have to spend a few bucks more for eggs. I get all that stuff. I understand. Those are reasonable conversations to have. Policy differences. We are not talking about policy differences here. Those were reasonable conversations that Democrats and Republicans could have before Donald Trump took office. And then election denialism started. And white supremacy and crimes went going up. And January 6th, insurrections. before you cast that ballot and before you decide to vote today, and I would imagine there are many of you out there that are still have not voted yet, if you're considering to vote, think about Adam Laxalt for a moment. 14 members of his own family refused to vote for him and are endorsing his opponent, Catherine Cortez Masto. If you're thinking of voting for Adam Laxalt, let me remind you that this was a guy that was arrested for assaulting a police officer. This was a guy who failed out of school, who came from white privilege. This is a guy who got into another expensive school because of who his family was. He failed out of college. He was accused and charged with assaulting a police officer. He gets large amounts of money and investments in big pharma, refuses to lower the cost of insulin costs or drugs, tax breaks for the rich. He wants to tell all women what to do with their bodies. He is anti-abortion at the highest level. And this is a guy who will refuse to admit if he loses tonight. He will not concede. Catherine Cortez Masto, if she loses tonight, I'm pretty confident she will call him either tonight or tomorrow and concede the election. Adam Laxalt will not. So if you're considering voting for this horrific excuse of a human being, think about that for a moment. I understand you might not agree with everything Catherine Cortez Masto stands for, especially if you're a Republican. I understand that. Now, I agree with a lot of what Masto stands for when it comes to gun control, allowing a woman what to do with her own body, for example. I stand with Masto on a lot of her beliefs. She's not perfect. No candidate is. But if you're going to vote for Adam Laxalt, that's who you're voting for. A horrible human being. What does it say? You know, it's one thing if you have maybe one or two members of your family that won't vote for you, right? That's one thing. I mean, we all have some weird members of our family, might have different political views. That's okay. Maybe one or two. Maybe you have a weird uncle that won't vote for you. All right, understandable. 14 members of Adam Laxalt's family are endorsing Catherine Cortez Masto. That's an entire dinner table, and a large one at that, at the Thanksgiving dinner table. What does that say about Adam Laxalt, huh? What does that say about him? Will you please think about these things before you decide to vote for Adam Laxalt? Again, the number to call, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 221-7283. Let's go to Albert. Albert is next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Albert.
Your Democrats are going down tonight. Bye.
Okay, do you want to have a conversation, sir, or you just want to scream at me? Okay, Democrats are going down. Great take, sir. Great take, Albert. That's somebody that is probably voting for Adam Laxalt. The Democrats are going down. Thank you for that analyzation, sir. Boy, they should really hire you on Fox News to analyze debates. You definitely sound like you have a lot of knowledge there, sir. Thank you. You're welcome to call back and tell me why you think Democrats are going down. I'll gladly hear you out. But you probably need a little bit more background than that when you call into a radio show. Number to call, 702-221-7283. Again, the number if you want to be a part of the conversation, 221-7283. Now, I've given my predictions of who I think is going to win, who I think is going to lose today. I gave you my opinions on Adam Laxalt. I've given you my opinions on Jim Marchant, who is a QAnon. Now, a lot of these people that are voting for these candidates, they don't care about our democracy. They don't. And Bill Maher went on, by the way, after talking about what he thinks is going to happen if Republicans take over. And by the way, he's absolutely 100% right. He went on about why this day is so important and about how we might lose our democracy and never get it back.
Republican moment when the election deniers are elected, which is often how countries slide into authoritarianism, not with tanks in the streets, but by electing the people who then have no intention of ever giving it back. The Republican up for Wisconsin governor just said if he's elected, quote, Republicans will never lose another election. This is how it happens. Hitler was elected. So was Mussolini, Putin, Erdogan, Viktor Orban. This is the it can't happen to us moment that's happening to us right now. We just don't feel it yet. We're the Titanic right after the iceberg hit.
And let me be very clear on this, and Bill Maher, again, is 100% correct. I'm not talking about policy. Yes, I don't agree with a lot of what Republicans stand for today, and I talk about that on the show all the time. But that's not what I'm talking about now. This is about our democracy. The idea that when you go and you vote, Your vote matters, and it will be fair. If Republicans decide to take office, I think our democracy is finished. I'm not talking about a few Republicans here and there. I'm talking about taking over the House and the Senate. Our democracy is over. And if Donald Trump loses, if he runs, which I believe he will, and he loses in 2024, he will not go quietly. We will have another insurrection, mark my words. There will be more violence. People will die. I wish I was wrong. We're not talking about spending a few extra bucks on your eggs at the grocery store. We're not talking about gas prices. Gas prices go up and down. Inflation comes and goes, as I've said before. But once our democracy is gone, we're not going to get it back. It's not coming back. Who do I blame for all of this? Well, let me be very clear. This was all started because of the orange turd. This was all started. And this is the cause of what happens when you elect somebody like Donald Trump. He started this nonsense way back in late 2015. It started then, and it's not going to end until these Republicans are out of office, these election deniers. Not every Republican is an election denier. It's why I said the other day I voted for some Republicans. People that I know personally, people that are not denying our elections. I've stated that. But I didn't vote for many of them. Democrats are not perfect. I don't like Nancy Pelosi any more than you do. I don't like Chuck Schumer. I don't like Stacey Abrams. But I can tell you right now I'd vote for Stacey Abrams over Kemp because Kemp is another right-wing buffoon. I don't agree with everything Stacey Abrams stands for. She said a lot of stupid things, but I would still vote for her because she believes in a woman's right to choose. We heard for decades from Republicans, even in the last several years, from those who now are on the Supreme Court who lied to you. They lied to me. They said Roe versus Wade is not going to be overturned. It's the law of the land. And then what happened? And then we hear from these Republicans, gay marriage, that's not on the table. And then we see what Clarence Thomas is trying to do. 221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Mickey. Mickey is next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Mickey.
Hello?
Yes, Mickey, go right ahead.
I second that. Democrats are going down.
Okay, tell me why. Hello? Another idiot. By the way, these are all the idiots that are voting for Adam Laxalt today. You know, I give people a chance. These people are so stupid. It's really unbelievable. They call into a radio show and they disagree with me and they think Democrats are going down, and you know what? They might be right. And I give them an opportunity to tell me why, and they don't have the brain capacity. These are the same people that believe Donald Trump won the election in 2020. These are the same people.
So we've had 2 phone calls.
Yeah.
Total of 17 seconds.
Yeah.
All dumbasses.
Yeah, well, they are. I'm glad you agree with me. They are. Now, there are some people that don't have the intellect to have a conversation or debate or whatever. If people believe that there's a lot of people that think Democrats are going down. And you know what? I'm on the fence on this one. The 2 callers might be right. They might be right, but do they not have the brain capacity to tell me why? Like when you form an opinion, you have to have some basis to form that opinion, right? You don't just say the earth is flat, unless you're Kyrie Irving. You don't just say the earth is flat. You give me reasons why. 702-221-7283. And again, that number, 221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Carl. Carl, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Hopefully this call's better than the last 2. Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, I think so. I'm a little more intelligent and well-educated, as I'm sure.
I hope.
I'm sure I did better than graduating the 3rd grade, so like they did, so I think I'll do better.
Good.
Listen, a lot of what you hear from these people like that is something called it's a form of mental situation. Occultism is what it is. It's what happens is these people can't really make up their mind for themselves. They can't get facts for themselves. So they listen to somebody and they take on the other person's thoughts, go into their minds, and that's what happens. And then they become a cult.
So, Carl,
And
let me ask you a
anytime
question. Let me ask you a question, Carl.
Yeah.
You're a Democrat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you that: are you worried? Because I'm worried, and I'm not even a Democrat. I'm worried about our democracy. I'm worried about what could happen tonight. Are you worried?
Oh yeah. It's it's not a good thing because, unfortunately, I feel that there's a extreme fascistic nature behind some of these people. They're always talking about, oh, we can't vote any Democrats. There are no communists. Well, I think it's going to end up being, if it ends up to be fully Republicans, but some of the people that are running, it's going to be fully fascism. It's going to be a fascist type government.
Well, I think, Carl, I agree, Carl. And by the way, it's good to hear from you, and I really do appreciate your phone call. Thank you for explaining yourself. Other people are not capable of that. I think today we are going to witness in real time. I can't believe I'm saying this on the radio. I can't believe I'm saying this in general, but I'm saying it now, and I hope I'm wrong. I think today is going to be a day in history in this country where we begin to lose our democracy, maybe for the rest of our lifetime. I believe we're going to look back on this day, and it was the start of the end. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, Carl. But I don't think I am. I think Democrats are in trouble today. And I think it's going to be a miracle if the Republicans don't take over the House and the Senate. I really do. It could happen. I'd like to think that logical, intelligent heads will prevail. But there are just too many stupid people out there, like the first two people who called into this program, quite frankly. They're stupid. They believe in the lies, the election lies. They believe that Democrats are responsible for all the problems in their life. Maybe their spouse cheated on them, or they had to spend a couple extra bucks for their eggs, or gas prices. They believe in the lies that Republicans on the alt-right tell them, and they're not smart enough to make up their own minds. They're just cult followers. And because of these cult followers, I believe Democrats are in a lot of trouble tonight, and our democracy is on the line. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I can do the show tomorrow and tell you that we still have our democracy. But I'm just not extremely confident. But we'll have to wait and see. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Michelle Mortensen, 8-time Emmy winner, will be joining us. She's covered a number of elections as a reporter here. We're going to get her thoughts on the local kind of spectrum on what's going on today. And then coming up in hour number 2, Sara Spector will be joining us. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
This announcement is brought to you by the Armed Forces Chamber, Nevada's largest and oldest chamber of commerce, formed to serve armed forces members. Your opinion matters. Your vote counts. You can make history. Vote Patsy Brown as the first female to be public administrator. Patsy Brown is a contract lawyer. Patsy Brown is a federal contractor with 15 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a business owner with 25 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a philanthropist. Patsy Brown is a Rotarian. Patsy Brown is endorsed by attorneys, business owners, community leaders, legislators, pastors, seniors, and veterans. Vote Patsy Brown from October 22nd through November 4th and November 8th. Learn more at votepatsybrown.com. Again, that's votepatsybrown.com. Paid for by friends who vote Patsy Brown.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
A great time! Your entertainment destination, the South Point, invites you to experience the ultimate great time under one roof. Bowling, dancing, a live show, a movie, delicious dining, and one of South Point's 11 restaurants. So much to see, so much to do. You won't know where to start first. This week, make it a South Point week and discover for yourself why the South Point is your entertainment destination for a great time.
All right, welcome back. Pushing the Limits on Election Tuesday. So glad you could join us. We have some Raiders breaking news we'll share with you. They released somebody, but here's a hint. It's not your starting quarterback, and it's not the head coach, so it might not matter. But we'll get to that coming up in hour number 2. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Sahara West Urgent and Primary Care. They're located at 6125 West Sahara Avenue. No appointment needed. Give them a call, 702-248-0554. They take most insurances. If you don't have insurance, $95 payment, which is quite the deal. I was in and out of there personally in 20 minutes. They're awesome. Please check them out, Sahara West Urgent and Primary Care. Okay, it is Tuesday. It is Election Day, and joining us right now on the line, she will be here tomorrow in studio, but I figured to get her take on everything that's going on this Election Tuesday, 8-time Emmy winner Michelle Mortensen joining us right now on the line. Michelle, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you? Oh,
I'm doing okay. I'm a little worried and I'm a little frustrated. Let's get to that. Let's start with what's going on in Maricopa County. As a Republican, Michelle, Kari Lake and her campaign are lying and putting out misinformation. They said that if you cast your vote in the box because of the malfunction with a few voting machines, that your votes might not be counted for weeks. Republicans who are on site that are helping to run the elections have said that is not true, that all the votes will be counted tonight by a Democrat and a Republican. Does that bother you that people like Kari Lake and others around the country are lying?
I didn't quite hear everything you said because I was trying to get rid of the echo and had to get some headphones here, though. But I'm not sure that I guess the question I have is, what did you say they're lying about? Because there are some issues with the machines, aren't there?
Yes. Okay. Let me explain. Let me repeat. Sorry, there was an echo. I think we fixed that. Okay. Yes, there were some issues with the machines. Absolutely. That's not what Kari Lake is saying. Her and her campaign staff are saying that if you vote in and put it in the drop box there, that your vote might not be counted for up to 2 weeks. Republicans that are on site, that are helping to run everything and make sure everything's going smoothly, have said on site that is not true, that their votes will be sent downtown and they will be counted tonight by both a Republican and a Democrat. Kari Lake and her campaign are lying. They're putting out more misinformation today. And as a Republican, I wanted to ask you, as somebody who supports Kari Lake, doesn't that bother you?
I think it's good to get the information out there that there's been some alleged problems with what's going on with Maricopa County, that it may take some time. I heard on the news briefly, I mean, we're setting up for our broadcast tonight, so it's a little hectic. It's a little chaotic over here. So I wasn't able to listen to the story with my ears just finely attuned, but it looks like there are some problems and it could result in some delays. I always think, though, that on election day, one of the best things you can do is just encourage people to vote. Don't be discouraged by the rain. Don't be discouraged by the snow. Don't be discouraged by long lines. Don't be discouraged by anything. Get out there and vote. And I think that's what candidates should be doing, is just encouraging everyone to do just that.
I don't have a problem with what you just said. The problem I have is there are Republicans out there that are lying. They are putting out conspiracy theories. Again, I'm going to repeat what I just said. The woman who you say you support in Kari Lake, even though you can't vote for her, is lying. Republicans on site in Maricopa County are saying there's not going to be delays. Just like in every other county there in Arizona, they're going to be sent to a secure area where a Republican and a Democrat is going to be individually counting the votes.
Well, maybe there's new information that's come through, and maybe that's what she said initially when she found out the problem. What I heard in the car when I was driving to the location I'm at right now was that she was changing where she was personally voting because she heard of the problems. She didn't want any problems there. The statement may have happened several hours ago and may not be the current statement at the moment. So
well, she hasn't retracted. Okay, understood.
Okay, that's fine, but it's really not that big of a deal. At the end of the day, there probably will be delays. We're going to have a team on the ground at Kari Lakes tonight. There is no one who thinks this race is going to be called today. It's not.
Okay, I understand.
Nevada's not going to be called. So there are going to be delays. So I don't really see the problem with that you have. She's saying there's going to be delays.
The problem I have,
there are.
Well, the problem I have is that the woman you support is once again lying about elections. She's lying today. She said it could take 2 weeks. Not one person that is an elected, that is an official that is running these elections, both Republicans and Democrats on the ground, not one person has made that statement. She is lying. That is misinformation. And when you put out something like that, when you're trying to run for office, there are people out there that are going to believe it and not have faith in our elections. It's what she's been doing for months and months campaigning.
There are already people who don't have faith in our elections, and Kari Lake is not doing anything to encourage that or discourage that or to make it to grow it. I don't believe it's going to change. The people who don't believe elections are secure are never going to believe that elections are secure. There's nothing that is going to magically change that. And I have heard on news, not today, but I heard yesterday, whether it was Klobuchar or other Democrats, they're already seeding the seeds of doubt that there's misinformation. There's a campaign going on, that Russia's going on again, that's going to destroy this election. Listen, both sides use this to their advantage when they can. And you just refuse to admit it, because it doesn't matter if it's Stacey Abrams. It doesn't matter if it's Kari Lake. It doesn't matter if it's Klobuchar. It doesn't matter if it's Katie Hobbs. You just have an opinion that the Republicans are always lying and the Democrats are the most truthful people ever. And it's simply not true. Everyone is spewing this message right now because they know at the end of the day, things are not going to go as well as everyone had hoped. It's not. I don't know that the Republicans are going to win. The Republicans are either going to win the Senate in a landslide that I never saw coming, or they're not going to win the Senate and they're trying to cushion that blow. And the Republicans are going to win the House in a big, big way. And that's going to be a huge, huge hit to Democrats. So everyone is doing their spin right now. That's exactly what's happening.
I completely disagree with you 100%. By the way, I've never said all Democrats are truthful, so I don't know where you got that from. I'm specifically talking about Republicans that are running on campaign lies. There are over 300 candidates that are Republican that are either running for office or are already in office that are election deniers, that say Donald Trump won the 2020 election.
Yes, I understand. And that's your biggest issue. And it's many Democrats' biggest issue.
It's
and
one
it's
of
why
my
the Democrats are going to lose very big.
Okay, that's your opinion.
At the end of the day, you guys have not been focused on what really matters. This lie that democracy is going to die. This lie that because people
How is that a
vote
lie?
for Republican, because it's an absolute lie. We're
Okay,
voting
Jim
right
Marchand
now.
has said,
voting
hold on, Michelle.
Right, no. Voting right now means that democracy lives. It means that people get to go and cast their ballots and choose who they want. Just because you don't like who they choose does not mean that democracy dies.
That is not what I'm talking about, and that is not
what you're talking about.
That is not what I. No, it's not, Michelle. You're not listening to me. That is not what I am talking about. What I am talking about are people like Jim Marchand. If he becomes the Secretary of State, will not certify an election if a Democrat wins. That is what I'm talking about.
You're making assumptions that
is what he said on the record. He said that on the record.
Stop it. You're making assumptions that he's already won, and you're making assumptions that in 2024, that's what he's going to do.
He
You
said it
don't
on the
know.
record.
You do not know. You do not know what is going to happen tonight. You do not know what is going to happen tomorrow.
Talking about who wins or loses.
Democracy does not die because someone you don't like wins an election. And
That's
that
not
is
what
the
I'm talking about.
nonsense.
You're not
No,
paying
it is the
attention.
no, it is the
No, it's
nonsense.
not.
Because you and
Jim
every other
Marchand-
Democrat have been spreading these lies that democracy dies. I don't give a rat's if you like Jim Marchand or you don't like Jim Marchand. It doesn't destroy democracy. The Democrat lies that you're spewing is what destroys democracy.
What did I say that was a
because
lie?
it makes people think that tomorrow, if we wake up and
What did I
Republicans have
say
won,
that's a lie?
I listened to your whole first block,
What
Brian.
did I say that's a lie?
You were saying that democracy is going to die tomorrow when we wake up and Republicans have won. And
Here's
that
why
is a
I make
lie.
that statement, and
you
I'm
can
going
make
to.
it all you want. It
Here's
doesn't make
why
it truthful.
I'm
It's
giving
still
you
a lie.
reasons, and it's not
still
a lie.
It's
No, it's
still
not.
a lie.
No, it's not.
Okay,
It's
Brian, this
interesting.
doesn't work because
It's
you just go, no, it's
interesting
not. No,
now.
it's not. No, it's not. That doesn't make it any more
Interesting
true.
now that it's interesting that you're accusing me of lying, yet the woman who you say you support just lied on her own Twitter page today, and you have no problem with that. You have no problem with Donald Trump today still saying that he won the election in a landslide. You have no problem with over 300 candidates. Hold on. You have no problem with over. Hold on. You just accused me of lying. Just give me a chance to respond.
And you
have
just lied in what you're saying and
Hey,
trying to
you have
accuse
no
me.
problem
So that
with
doesn't
300
work.
300 candidates, over 300 Republican
Brian, you
candidates
have to be
across the
better than
country
this.
that
You
are
have to be
election
better than
deniers.
this.
Don't
You
say I
can't-
need to be better than this. You support Carrie Lake. So
No.
don't say I need to be better than this. You need to be better. You support a despicable human being in Carrie Lake who is a
not a
liar.
despicable
They are
human
attacking
being.
our democracy every day, and you
They
have
are
no
not
problem with it. So
attacking-
don't say
no,
I need to be
you're-
better.
No, I'm
You
sorry.
need to be better.
Democrats are the ones who are attacking our democracy.
Oh my
but
God.
spreading
Are you
lies.
serious?
We're 100%.
Democrats are attacking our democracy? Are you
Yes.
kidding me?
When
In what
Jim-
way?
Okay,
I can't wait to hear this.
When Jim Clyburn lies and says, at the end of the day, we could end up like Nazi Germany, when he says that like he did this past Sunday.
Because
this
there are
past
some
weekend,
people who are dictators. Yes, that's why he makes a
there
statement
are
like
no
that.
there are no dictators in this country.
Really?
There are no dictators in
Really?
this country. As
Really?
much as I hate Joe Biden, he is not a dictator. He's just a very,
let
very
me
bad
ask you a
president.
question then. Okay, since you don't think there are any dictators, let me ask you a question.
There
then.
aren't.
Another man. Okay, fine. That's your opinion. Another
Everyone
man.
is free and fairly elected.
Another
so you're
man
not
who
a
you
dictator.
support. Another man who you support. And I'm not talking about Carrie Lake. I'm talking about Ron DeSantis, who you support, who you seem to like.
Yes.
When there were large companies, a few like Disney in Florida, who disagreed with Ron DeSantis and his position on certain situations, social situations, when they spoke out about it, Ron DeSantis went after them and taxed them because of them coming out to him. So explain to me how that's not dictatorship.
I'm going to explain it to you just like this, because Joe Biden is mad that he's.
I didn't ask you about Joe
Hold on,
Biden.
I'm giving you the example tit for tat. This is the problem, Brian. You don't pay attention. Joe Biden is saying he is going to punish oil companies and tax them more to punish them because he doesn't think they're doing enough to lower gas prices. It's the same thing DeSantis did with Disney. But this is the problem. No, it's 100%. No, you just listen what comes out of your mouth. Well, DeSantis taxed Disney, and isn't that a dictatorship?
Do you understand what corporate greed is and the difference?
The Democrats want to tax oil and gas companies, and you're like, yeah, that should totally happen. Screw them over, because that's your personal belief system. You aren't thinking straight. At the end of the day, taxing an entity does not make it a dictatorship.
Let me explain you the difference.
We have taxes in this country, whether you like it or not.
Let me explain you the
governing bodies are the ones who issue the taxation. Well, I don't agree that DeSantis should have gone after Disney. I don't think he personally should have. I don't have to agree with every single thing a person does to agree with them overall. And that's the thing that I think you miss all the time.
No,
I
don't
live
miss.
in your
I don't
high
miss
horse
that at all.
where everything Brian says is truthful, everything Brian says is right, and everything that comes out of Brian's mouth is God's word. And here's the thing: it's
No
not.
idea what you're
It's
talking
your
about.
opinion.
No idea. Well, there's certain things like you're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your own fact, right? I'm
Well,
not going to
you
take
give me your
anybody.
own facts all
I'm
the
not
time.
going to take
You
anybody
try to tell me
seriously if
that-
they say the
that
earth is flat. All right,
Biden-
hang on, Michelle. I gave you a chance. Just let me respond real quick, please, with all due respect. I'm going to explain to you the difference between Joe Biden and your analogy to that and Ron DeSantis. Gas prices are very, very high in this country. I think you would agree with that. A lot of that has to do with corporate greed. The oil companies.
That's a lie.
Okay, well, that's your opinion, right, Michelle?
No,
But
it's
let me
not
give
an
out my
opinion.
opinion.
It's
Okay, so
not
when
an
you say
opinion.
something,
It's
when you
fact, because if you tax them more,
when
the
you say
prices
something,
will
it's
go
not an
up.
opinion. But when I say it and it's an opinion, can you just let me finish? Okay, just let me finish, Michelle, and then you take the floor. Okay, gas prices are high in this country. Joe Biden is trying to act upon it and do something for a reason, not because to score political points. He's doing that because he wants gas prices to, okay, if you want to laugh at that, that's fine. But you're talking about Ron DeSantis, who did that to Disney for one reason and one reason only, because they spoke out against him. They spoke out against one of his
No, there's actually been
That's the
discussion
difference.
on taxing Disney and the write-offs that Disney has gotten in Disney World in Florida specifically for a long time. And here are the facts, Brian, just so that you know them. The oil and gas industry lost more money than they ever have in the years 2020 and 2021. Them making profits now is not record profits in any way, shape, or form. And then when you punish them for making profits and tax them even more, it is the consumer who pays because prices will continue to go up. It does absolutely nothing to make it better for the consumer. I've spent my entire life, almost my entire adult life on TV, following consumer news specifically as a consumer reporter and as a consumer anchor. And I can tell you undeniably, you are wrong and you are misinformed. And that's the problem. You don't know about this specific issue.
Got you. So I'm misinformed, yet you are voting or you would support those who are election deniers that say Donald Trump won the 2020 election. So I guess that means you would vote for me because I'm misinformed.
No, I'm saying you're misinformed on oil and gas. Okay, so I'm not saying you're on what you were just trying to make an argument out of. But you were misinformed. You were wrong. You were incorrect.
The gas companies haven't made record profits this year. Is that what you're saying?
They are so behind on their profits that they've made because of what happened in 2020 and 2021 that they have not even made up. In 2020 was when we had COVID and no one was traveling and oil and gas went down to like $1.
Have the gas companies not made record profits in 2022? Yes or no?
I do not know if they've made good profits.
Interesting. You do not know the answer to that because the answer is yes. They have made record profits.
They have not made up for what they have lost. They have not made up for what they have lost.
Okay.
So you're under some impression that making profits are bad, but making profits are not bad. In fact, making record profits are not bad.
In 2020, gas prices were not where they are at right now. I'm speaking about right now, the last 6 months.
But there was also no usage because gas is a supply and demand and commodity. It is not something that has a stagnant price. It is supply and demand. And in 2020, when there was no demand, there was no money to be made.
Okay, so Michelle, you said I'm misinformed, and I'm just going to inform you on something that you just admitted that you are unaware of. In 2022, in the last quarter, gas oil refinery companies, the largest companies in this country, have made more money and more profits than they had in the last 11 years. I find it interesting that you don't know that. You're calling me misinformed.
No, I don't like to say anything unless I have it factually right in front of me. So you know what? That is the difference between, I'm not going to say something about prices if I don't have it right in front of me, what their profits
Well, I just told you. You can look it up if you don't believe me.
Sure, if I had an extra hand and I could look it up right now, but I'm propping up a computer. Okay,
all right. I'm not going to call you misinformed, but I'm just giving you information that you are unaware of.
But I am giving you information that the record losses and the hits.
So Joe Biden is responsible for high gas prices all over the country, all over the world.
Here's what I don't know. Here's what I don't understand about you is that you use these arguments that make no sense whatsoever just in order to prove your point. Because all you do is when I give you an example, you give an example of a governor taxing that you don't like. When I give you an example of a president doing the same exact thing, well, it's not the same and it doesn't matter because I hate Ron DeSantis and that's why it doesn't matter. Here's the problem with your logic, Brian. You just, whatever you believe is truth, well, then you don't even listen to the other side. You can't even see.
Oh, no, I listen to it. You're just wrong.
Exact thing.
I listen to it. You're just wrong. It's a terrible analogy. You're comparing what Joe Biden did with oil refinery companies trying to lower gas prices.
Joe Biden has
doing it to score political points. There's no comparison there.
Joe Biden in the last 2 years has done more to destroy the oil and gas companies and destroy the oil and gas industry than any other president of our time.
Well, that's your opinion.
Well, I admit that we have not had a refinery since 1973. Even when you're the man you love, Horsford was on the show last week. He even admitted we need to be doing more.
Everything you're saying, you have no idea what my opinions are on anything. First of all, I never said on the record that I love.
You said that you voted for him, and I know you love him more than.
So here's the difference, Michelle.
So here's the deal.
No. Hold on.
You love him.
Michelle, you just said something again. Everything you're saying is baseless and factless. First of all, just because you vote for somebody doesn't mean you love them.
Oh my God! So that goes right back to you when you say, "Oh, you love Trump, you love Carrie Lake."
Michelle,
I agree with.
I never said you love them. I said you support them. I never
Yes,
used
and
the
you
term
support
love.
people too.
Okay,
You
so let me
support
try to
Horsford.
let me
So just
try.
don't,
Okay, that's not what you just
don't make
said.
tit for tat that because I
You're
said you
throwing
loved him,
things.
that you're
You're
taking
throwing.
it to another level so that you
You're
can try to win your argument.
Okay, this isn't about winning an argument. It's about saying things that are true and
100%
saying
is.
things that are not true. So let me just reemphasize what you just said is not true. Just because I vote for somebody doesn't mean I love them. I'll give you an example. I made a mistake in the 2016 election. I probably should have voted for Hillary Clinton. Doesn't mean I love her. Sometimes you vote for the lesser of two evils, and what you just said is ignorant. Just because I voted for somebody doesn't mean I love them. I'm voting for Stephen Horsford over Sam Peters because I think Sam Peters is a buffoon. It doesn't mean I love Stephen Horsford. I don't always agree with him. I don't like his extramarital affairs. There's a lot about Stephen Horsford I don't like, Michelle. So I'm just pointing out to our listeners, you say things that are not true. I don't love Stephen Horsford. I voted for Stephen Horsford. There is a huge distinction there, and I'm shocked you don't understand the difference.
Okay, I'm shocked that you don't understand hyperbole.
Okay, so you can just say things that are not true and just call it
No,
hyperbole.
it's
That makes a lot
true.
of sense.
You're never mind. I'm done having this conversation with you.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'll let you go then if you don't. I just don't like it when people say things about me that are not true. I don't love Stephen Horsford.
But you have no problem coming after me all the time saying, "Oh, you support Carrie Lake, so that means you love everything they do." Oh, you support
I never
John
said
Rose,
that.
you love
Again,
everything
you're
they
saying
do.
things.
But you
Never said you
do,
love everything
Brian.
they do.
You don't understand, but you do,
Okay,
Brian.
find me a
You
quote
do.
on the air where I said I think you love
Okay,
everything.
great. I'll go
Donald Trump does.
listen back to this show later, and then I'll point
Okay,
it out to you at a
please
different
do.
time.
And when you can't find a quote from me,
Okay.
and will you admit that you're wrong?
You know what? If I have the time to
Okay.
listen to all your shows to find any mistakes that you've made or misquotes, I will gladly do it. I will tell you this though. I'm getting ready to do a 5-hour live broadcast from Red Rock Casino doing election coverage starting at 8 p.m. We have an entire TV studio to build right now. I sure as shooting don't have it to do today. We can fight about it tomorrow when we can talk about who won and who lost. And I think it's going to be a good night for Republicans. I think it's going to be not a great night for Republicans in Nevada, but I think it's going to be a very good night for Republicans in Nevada. I think it's going to be a very good night for Republicans nationwide. And that's what we're talking about tomorrow.
Okay, I'll make sure to tell Jim Marchant that you send him your love, okay? Well, what's funny? You're voting for him, so it means you must love him, right? I'll make sure to let Adam Axel you send him your love.
Honestly do not discuss. I've discussed with you privately, but I don't discuss on air who I vote with.
Okay, well, I'll make sure to tell Sigel Chata, Joe Lombardo, Adam Laxalt, Jim Marchant, because those are just a wonderful group of people. Since you're voting for them, I'm going to make sure to tell all of them that you send them your love. Okay? Is that okay?
So you don't actually know what I did in the ballot box.
Okay. Michelle, I'm just giving you hyperbole. Please don't take it seriously. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow, Michelle. I love you. Have a good one.
I love you too, Brian. Bye.
All right. That's Michelle Mortensen, everybody. Wow. I don't even know what to say. First of all, the things she said about me are completely not true. Baseless. Hyperbole, she calls it. No, it's a lie. Just because I vote for somebody doesn't mean I love them. And that insinuation that she said is so ridiculous, so absurd. And she made some statements about gas prices because that's what Republicans do. They want to blame Joe Biden and his administration for why gas prices are high. She compares things that have no base in fact. Example. Now that I could get my opinion out because I feel like I was interrupted every 7 seconds. Ron DeSantis going after Disney for the only reason because Disney didn't agree with Ron DeSantis when it came to issues facing the LGBT community. Taxing them for that opinion they had is the definition of dictatorship. Joe Biden going after the oil refinery companies was to help Americans policy-wise lower the price of gas because of corporate greed. There is no comparison between the two. But if you notice, that's what Republicans do these days. When you talk about, election deniers, you make a good point. They go to whataboutism. Well, Joe Biden, gas prices. That's the go-to. That's what they do. Because I made a valid point about Ron DeSantis. Because she talked about dictatorship. And notice she said she listened to my first segment, and I said, what did I say that was a lie? And her only response was, our democracy's not at stake. Let me explain to you how ignorant that statement is. And by the way, I don't use that term often. Here's why our democracy is at stake, and people like Michelle do not want to admit this. And I'm going to repeat this again because it's very, very important. You have over 300 Republicans that are on the ballot today. Over 300 of those Republicans are election deniers. What that means is they are not willing to admit that Joe Biden is a free and fair elected president. Many of them still say to this day that Donald Trump won the 2016 election. That is an election denier. That is like saying the earth is flat. The reason why our democracy is at stake is because there are many of these Republicans out there that are on the ballot that will never certify an election if a Democrat wins. The Jim Marchands of the world that are on the record as saying such. That is why our democracy is at stake here. And anybody who understands what some of these Republicans stand for when it comes to elections would know that. Some of those Republicans that are even voting for some of these people would admit that. Adam Laxalt is one of them. Jim Marchant is another. Sigal Chattah is another. And by the way, folks, for the record, that is not hyperbole. That is fact. And the proof will be in the pudding. If Democrats lose tonight, they will concede. There will not be violence on the streets. There will not be an insurrection. And Governor Sisolak will call Joe Lombardo tomorrow and probably congratulate him and say, if you need anything, I'm here. If Republicans lose many of these elections tonight, there will be violence. There will be probably an insurrection. They will contest all the elections. I know Kari Lake will. And that will be an attack on our democracy, just like January 6th was. And if I bring up January 6th, or if I bring up Kari Lake, or Donald Trump, or the 300 other election deniers that are on the ballot, Michelle's only response is, well, what about Stacey Abrams? Stacey Abrams is one Democrat who weeks after the election did not believe the election was fair. And the reason why she made that statement is because Kemp at the time was the Secretary of State. Now, I don't agree with Stacey Abrams, but she didn't cause an insurrection. She didn't incite violence. And eventually, she did concede. To this day, Donald Trump has not conceded, and our democracy is on the table. It is on the line. And again, that is not hyperbole. I don't use hyperbole on this show. I use logic and facts. And one thing I have never done in my 20-year career is lie. Sadly, many of the people that Michelle supports and who she has voted for and will vote for are election deniers and liars. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, talk about opposite ends of the spectrum. We're going to be talking to the former assistant DA of Uvalde, Texas, Sara Spector. I'm warning you, Numchuck, as Michelle comes in studio tomorrow, if she calls me a liar, it might not go very well. So I'm just warning you on that. You might need the earplugs tomorrow in studio.
I'm already going to have them on.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
I'm forewarning you on that because she definitely said some things that are not true about me. And the dumbest of them all is because I voted for Stephen Horsford. That must mean I love him, which is just a really ignorant thing to say. And I think she's better than that. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Sara Spector, the former assistant DA of Uvalde, Texas, will be joining us. She's been working with the Better O'Rourke campaign. What's going on out there? We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
This announcement is brought to you by the Armed Forces Chamber, Nevada's largest and oldest chamber of commerce, formed to serve armed forces members. Your opinion matters. Your vote counts. You can make history. Vote Patsy Brown as the first female to be public administrator. Patsy Brown is a contract lawyer.
In the following program.
Patsy Brown is a federal contractor with 15 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a business owner with 25 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a philanthropist. Patsy Brown is a Rotarian. Patsy Brown is endorsed by attorneys, business owners, community leaders, legislators, pastors, seniors, and veterans. Vote Patsy Brown from October 22nd through November 4th and November 8th. Learn more at votepatsybrown.com. Again, that's votepatsybrown.com. Paid for by friends who vote Patsy Brown.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Film Festival Radio, Saturday afternoons at 3 on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at kshp.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Election Day. It's Tuesday. And I'm so glad you have taking the time to join us. I hope you join my favorite gaming bar in town is Jackson's Bar and Grill. Sundays, $50 free play after earning 200 points. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Hey, today's Tuesday. You get a free bottle of wine if you earn 200 points. Some restrictions apply. And every Vegas Golden Knights game, talk about a winning franchise. There's not many right now going on. We got the Aces, of course, at least teams that are playing right now. Vegas Golden Knights passed the puck, went up to $100 in free play per period just for playing. Please check him out. Grill, great gaming bar. I don't take lightly to anybody who says that I lie on or off the air. I take that very personal. And yeah, there were some things said about me in that last segment that I don't take too kindly, but I suppose it was good radio. Some people are telling me, and Michelle will be in studio tomorrow. The boxing gloves will be ready to go tomorrow. And I have never, at least never intentionally said something that was not true on or off the air. It's not who I am. And when people are trapped against the wall in a corner and I try to make a point and they just say, oh, you're a liar, you're this. I guess that happens from time to time, and I will always fight that. That is not true. Anyway, someone else who is certainly big in the fight, certainly what is going on there politically in Texas, Beto O'Rourke, of course, and Governor Abbott, as I like to call him, Governor Abhole, out there in Texas. That is a big gubernatorial race. We're going to find out who's going to be the next governor of Texas. Is it going to still be Abbott? Is it going to be Beto O'Rourke? That and much more going to my friend Sara Spector, who is the former assistant DA over there in Uvalde. Sara, good to see you. How are you? Thanks for coming on.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit more chill compared to that last interview that I just did. That was were you listening to that, by the way?
Yes.
What did you make of that?
I wish I had it was hard to listen to. You were screaming over each other.
Yeah, that's not the way I want interviews to go. But I guess when somebody calls me a liar, do you agree with me that democracy is at stake today? And the reason why I say that, I think you know, is you have hundreds and hundreds of these election deniers out there. We know that they wouldn't certify an election if a Democrat won. They've pretty much said on the record that they wouldn't. And yet people like Michelle don't think democracy is at stake here. What do you say?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I hope if they get elected that we will still survive. But it's really scary that people are actually running on a platform that says if they don't win, they're going to deny an election. And that's, of course, the first step toward fascism, or it is. I mean, Michelle needs to read history. I don't know. I mean, my ancestors came from Austria, and I know the story of how a really progressive country became fascist very quickly, and it just takes a very charismatic person like Trump to lead a group of a herd of cows or whatever these people are into into democracy's downfall. And it is really scary. And I like Michelle. I really respect her, but I would have thought that she would at least admit that that part of the Republican Party is unhealthy and dangerous to our country.
It is. You're 100% right. And never would I say in a million years that every Republican is an election denier. Every Republican is bad. Heck, I voted for a few Republicans right here a few days ago. People that I know, people that I respect, people that are not election deniers. I would never vote for an election denier. So for her to say that democracy is not at stake here, when we saw what happened on January 6th, that was an attempt to try to overthrow our democracy because of the big lie alone. So how could you even make that statement that democracy is not at stake? I don't really understand that. All right. So Sarah, before we get to Texas politics, let's talk about the big national story this morning, which is Maricopa County, right? And I don't even think it's that big of a deal. There's a couple machines that went down, and they seem to be pretty organized to me. These things happen. Glitches happen from time to time. These voters or prospective voters, they were given several options. You can wait until the machines are back up, or you can cast a ballot, put it in the box, or you can go to other locations, which seems very, very reasonable. And we've also learned, based on Republicans and what they've said on site that are organizers of this, is that if you cast your ballot, it'll be secure. It'll be sent downtown, which is, by the way, what they do in the entire state. And a Republican and a Democrat will hand count your ballot. Yet what is happening now? Well, Kari Lake and her campaign have put out misinformation today. And in that misinformation, she has stated on the record on her official Twitter account that if you cast your ballot, it might not be counted for 2 weeks. Blatant lies. And I've heard from right-wing conspiracy theories and the same people that think Trump won in 2020. They're already saying that Democrats have cheated. They're already saying it in Maricopa County. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's silly. I mean, we have we have really, really state-of-the-art equipment here in Midland. I think because they like Midland because we're highly Republican. They want to make it easy to vote, and you just touch who you want to vote for. And I had some problems, like it just wasn't reading on my first day. It wasn't reading me right, and I had to make sure that I cast my ballot for the right people because it was very sensitive to touch. And on Twitter, several people were contacting me saying, "Oh no, in Midland they're switching our votes. They were Democrats and they were panicking." And I got them in touch with our local Democratic chair, and we didn't say, "Oh, the Republicans are cheating." We said, you got to just make sure that you touch the right screen. She asked which computers were which machines might be malfunctioning. The Republicans took care of it. They fixed the machine. We didn't start a panic. We calmed everyone down and said, it's okay. Votes are going to be counted. Just be careful. Check who you vote for at the end. You get a paper slip in Midland of who you vote for. You get a receipt. That's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans are trying to start some sort of hysteria over a small computer issue, and again, compromise our democracy. Whereas the Democrats, even though in Midland we are outnumbered, and we do tend to trust the elections office. We have to, unless they give us a reason not to, and we try to calm our constituency down.
Do you agree with me, Sarah, that if Democrats lose tonight, the overwhelming majority of them will concede. I know right here, knowing Governor Sisolak as well as I do, he's not perfect. But if he loses tonight, I believe he'll be the first one to call Joe Lombardo and say, hey, you know what? I'll concede. Congratulations. If you need anything, I'm here. There won't be violence in the streets. There won't be an insurrection. But if Republicans lose tonight, I personally believe in some areas there will be violence. There could be another insurrection. There will be contested elections all over the country. And I just think it's horrible for this country. That's what I think will happen tonight. That'll be the difference.
Yeah, it's going to be. There's going to be some Republicans that lose, obviously, and there's going to be upsets on both sides. Obviously, there always are, and I don't know of a Democrat that would incite an insurrection. I just don't. And I mean, I know Michelle talks about Stacey Abrams, but questioning, the voter I mean, she was basically bringing up voter suppression and all that. Those are valid points, but to say, the votes aren't counting or the election process, without giving a specific fact as to what's wrong is not an equivalence. And I've never, I used to love election day. I did. It made me think we were so much better than the rest of the world, because no matter how disgusting or dirty an election would be, I would love to see that transfer of power. It's a beautiful thing. And we don't have that anymore. Trump ruined it.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
And it makes me, honestly, seriously, it makes me cry.
I want to get, well, don't cry, Sarah. I want to get to Texas politics a little bit, but before I do, I have to go back to that interview with Michelle, and I want to mention something else. This is something that Republicans, that when I call them out, they accuse me. I shouldn't even say accuse me, but the blatant misinformation and statements that are not true, Sarah, and it drives me crazy. Now, I know that you're a Democrat. Great. There's nothing wrong with that. You can call yourself a Republican, a Democrat, whatever.
I vote for Republicans. I'm not always a Democrat.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But, as you know, I'm a registered independent. I voted for Republicans, not many, but I voted for several.
Some of my favorite judges are Republicans.
Yeah, I voted for Republicans. I voted for Democrats in my life. The only president I've ever voted for that was a Democrat is Joe Biden. And I've made mistakes. I didn't vote for the Hillary or Trump. But I had Michelle in that last interview do what so many Republicans do that are not capable of having an intellectual debate, calling me a Democrat. And I say, why? Because I feel like our democracy is at stake, because I want a woman to have the right to choose, because I believe the rich, the ultra top 1% should be taxed in this country, because I believe in universal health care, because I want to help the poor. You're going to assume that I just vote on party lines, and she calls me a Democrat. And she said a lot of other things in that interview that were absurd. She called me a liar. By the way, she couldn't pinpoint anything I said that was a lie. But I just feel like that's what Republicans stand for today. They just throw things at a wall and they hope it sticks. If you don't like Donald Trump, like I don't, if I call him the orange turd, which I do call him from time to time, I must be a liberal. And it's just so frustrating. It's so frustrating to me that some of these Republicans cannot spell the word fact. And it's mesmerizing. Can't somebody be an independent but not like Donald Trump? Can't somebody be an independent but want to give a woman the right to do what she wants to do with her own body? Can't somebody be an independent and vote for Democrats in an election? Can't somebody be an independent and not vote for election deniers? I mean, is that where we are at in this country? It's mesmerizing to me, Sarah.
Well, at least she didn't call you a communist. I mean,
yeah, I feel like she was close.
Yeah. But I do being from Midland and, maybe the oil capital of the world, right? I do have to correct her on this, because it drives me crazy every time Michelle says Biden has driven oil companies and prices and blah, blah. I live in Midland. I lived in Midland, and it oil crashed under Trump, and it started crashing before the COVID hit. It started crashing because Saudi Arabia glutted the market, his friends in Saudi Arabia. So let's not kid ourselves that oil's always great under Republicans. And the fact of the matter is, under Obama and under Biden, oil has soared. And I know that's not a good thing, but it's a lie to say that Democrats are not good for the oil industry, because we are booming out here. My business is booming. You can't get into stores or restaurants here. Everything's packed. That everyone's making a lot of money out here, and there is no. When I went to Vegas a few weeks ago for the PGA event, there were so many people, the cab driver, people in our hotel, who said, "Oh, you're from Midland, you must hate Biden. The oil industry is doing so bad. It's blah, 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 blah." And it's, that's not a talking point in Midland. It's not a talking point in Texas, because we know it's absurd. We know it's absurd. But Beto's not against the oil industry. Biden didn't cause the high oil prices, even though Midland's loving it. And I'll tell you, they are making a lot of money. People don't know what to do with their money here, and a lot of it is on the oil companies. They're making record profits, and she's just wrong. She's just wrong. All she has to do is read the Wall Street Journal or Google West Texas Intermediate Crude, and you can see how the prices have gone up under Biden. The oil industry's thriving under him.
Well, her response to you, if you prove her wrong, is that's just hyperbole. That would be her excuse. But anyway, we can move on now. She'll be in tomorrow. All right, let's talk about big race. Of course, in Texas, I'm talking. You've worked with Beto O'Rourke in his campaign. I would, if I had the opportunity to vote, of course, I would vote for Beto O'Rourke. Not because I'm a Democrat, because I'm not, but because I think he's a decent man. I love his stance on gun control. And Governor Abbott is, in my opinion, one of the worst governors in the history of that state. He is just the worst. Just horrific governor. Talk to me about your thoughts on what do you think is going to happen tonight, and do you think Governor Abbott will remain in that seat, or do you think Beto O'Rourke can pull off the upset?
Well, I volunteer for him. I don't work for him. It's just all volunteer work that I'm doing, and there's a lot of us, right? I mean, that's what this is about. Is that it's a grassroots movement. When you say you're not a Democrat, well, I can tell you that, unfortunately, our Texas Democratic Party is in shambles, and Beto had almost no help from them. And he literally had to build his own camp. I mean, pretty much all the Democrats had to basically build their own campaign. They piggybacked off of Beto, and Beto has worked, and Cynthia Connell and Gina Hinojosa. They have done Herculean tasks here in Texas. They've gone into the most red areas and every county. They came here 6 times. They came to Midland, Texas 6 times, and talked to people. And I know they changed people's votes. I know they have. I'll tell you this. I think that it'll come down to, the polls are showing Beto is going to lose, but the polls are showing also they're polling people, likely voters. And I know we've registered a ton of new young voters in Texas. And so it's going to come down to, do the young people, the Gen X people, are they going to go and vote? Are they going to go and vote? Do they care enough? Because they have literally brainwashed people in Midland, in these smaller communities, that if you're a Democrat, your vote doesn't count. And I've been trying to educate people as much as I can on my Twitter feed, on this radio show, that your count is just that it's more important. If you're in a rural area, it's so much more important that you vote. If we can swing rural areas 3 or 4 points, Beto wins. That's it. He wins because we've got the cities. I promise you, Beto's going to take Fort Worth, San Antonio, El Paso, Dallas. He's going to take all the urban areas, Austin, of course, and he's going to take a lot of the suburbs. And the problem is that it's the lackadaisical people here in rural areas who are just convinced that Texas is red. And I don't know what to do about it. The part of it is MSNBC. Honestly, it's not just Fox. They're just so depressing to watch all of this, and they don't even mention Beto, and honestly, I I think Beto has a much better chance than the polls are saying if the young people will come out and vote. I don't know what they're going to do. He went to almost every college. I'm serious. He's campaigned tirelessly through, and I can't tell you what a good person he is. I don't use those words lightly. I don't usually like politicians, honestly. And the thing about Beto I've noticed too is he's got a lot of national and international appeal. My Twitter feed, I mean, people admire him for even getting into this race because everyone said he didn't have a chance and everyone was mocking.
But you know what, Sarah? To me, and you tell me whether you agree or not, Beto O'Rourke represents what most Democrats represent, which is gun control. Logical gun control. Beto O'Rourke does not want to take all your guns away like the Ted Cruzes of the world say. Shocker, Ted Cruz is a liar and a scumbag. Beto O'Rourke wants logical gun laws on the books, take away the loopholes. We don't need 18-year-olds buying AR-15s and thousands of rounds of ammunition. Beto O'Rourke does not talk about arming kindergarten teachers or locking a back door in a school. He talks about the lack of the police presence, or I should say police action when what took place in Uvalde. And he also represents what just about every Democrat I talk to represents, which is giving a woman the right to choose. It doesn't mean Democrats are jumping up and celebrating when a woman has an abortion. What it does mean is that they want to give a woman the right to choose. That is a personal decision between her family, and her doctor. And the Republicans and the government should have no say in that. He also wants the top 1% to be taxed. Wow. He wants to help the poor. He wants to help people that are struggling in this country. He's for maternity leave. He wants government programs like food stamps and welfare to help people. He wants to raise the minimum wage. He's not Bernie Sanders. He doesn't want to make it $20 an hour, but he does want to raise the minimum wage, and he doesn't want a woman who's trying to raise a family have to work 3 jobs to put bread on the table. Those are not reckless, far left beliefs. Beto O'Rourke is not a far leftist radical. He is a reasonable Democrat who is willing to work with reasonable Republicans. Unfortunately, Governor Abbott, or I like to call him Governor Abhole, is not a reasonable Republican. He is a radical. And for those of you that want to disagree with me, look at what Governor Abbott did, and so much about Uvalde, Sarah, more than anybody. Hours after the Uvalde shooting, when they were still counting bodies, Governor Abbott was counting campaign money at a fundraising event. How can you vote for somebody like that? I don't understand it. Even if you dislike all of Beto O'Rourke's policies, how can you vote for a governor like that? I just don't understand.
Yeah, I don't either. And you left out a very big talking point for Beto, which is he wants to extend the ACA. We haven't invested in the ACA, so there's so many people who are uninsured in Texas. Our rural hospitals are closing. I know it's not a big deal to most Northeast pundits, but it's huge here in Texas when our rural hospitals are closing and people don't have access to health care. Our mental health is 48th in the nation, and he always says, Abbott always says, oh, it's a mental health issue. Whenever there's a shooting, it's a mental health issue. We're going to fix the mental health system. Well, he doesn't. He never does. Our jails are our mental health system. We have a mental health court here, which is excellent and helps people, but you have to have a felony you have to literally be a convicted felon and be on the streets to get into mental health court and actually get treatment here. It's crazy.
But Governor Abbott on the other side, Governor Abbott represents what a lot of right-wing radical candidates represent. First of all, celebrating and sending migrants on planes to different areas to score political points. Governor DeSantis did this exact same thing. He represents the fact that attacking brown people at every end, nothing when it comes to gun control. You mentioned mental illness. You're right. If mental illness and people struggle with mental illness all over the world, why is it that we have this problem in this country? It makes absolutely no sense. He has no solutions to any of the problems facing Texas. He only wants to score political points and blame Joe Biden for all the problems that he's facing in his own state. Many Republicans that are governors that have any issues, they never take responsibility. They want to blame Joe Biden for their problems. And I think Governor Abbott represents the far right-wing cult, the MAGA supporters out there. And I think it's a disgrace. But Sarah, with that being said, I got to say, from somebody who is an independent, unlike Michelle, she'd call me a Democrat or whatever else she said. I'm worried. I'm worried about our democracy tonight. I'm worried about the results of this election. I'm worried that Republicans are going to take over the House and the Senate, and we are going to have a bunch of election deniers that are running this country that want to take away a woman's right to choose, among many other policies or lack thereof. And I think this country is going to be in big, big trouble if Democrats don't get the results that they are hoping for.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think that I do think I have to give the Republicans a lot of kudos because they're very well organized, and I don't believe the National Democratic Party is. They missed a huge opportunity, DCCC up in Ohio. It's like a 1-point race with the governor up there. I can't think of his Tim. That's his name. Anyway, he's real close, and they refuse to invest in that. They refuse to invest in. They don't recognize people like Beto, and they don't invest, and they throw away. And I don't understand this infatuation they have with Florida. It has gotten more and more red for the past decade. It's going red. It's red. And Biden visits it for 10 times. The DCCC throws money in it, and it looks like it's going to be a landslide for DeSantis. Looks like it's going to be a landslide, and we lost such a good Val Demings is now not going to be in Congress because she chose a stupid choice to run against Marco Rubio. I don't like Marco Rubio, but everyone knows he's extremely popular in Florida. And I just think the Democrats need to get their crap together. The way the Republicans took over in Texas, where they started at local elections and they moved up, and our Mr. Hinojosa, our Democratic chair here in Texas, who I voted against. I went and voted. I was a delegate at the convention and really wanted to switch our leader, and he ended up doing a power grab. I don't even want to talk about it, but anyway. We're losing the valley. Like the valley's our southern border, and I think we're going to lose it tonight. I think it's going to go red, and there just doesn't seem to be any organization other than Beto.
There's a lot of criticism. I agree with you. There's a lot of criticism to go around Democrats. Many of them have not run great campaigns. I got to say, I disagree with Kari Lake's opponent for not getting up on a debate stage. She should have done that. I think that was cowardly of her. I don't think she's a very good candidate. She's not a strong candidate. And when you have somebody like Kari Lake, and I'll say this, she's strong with her words, even though many of those words are lies and misinformation. She has done a ton of interviews. She's out there. She does a lot of interviews. She knows what it takes to win. And sadly, today in the Republican Party, what it takes to win is a lot of lies and misinformation. But she's running against a candidate who refused to even get up there on a debate stage. And I got to tell you, I don't want to vote for people that are not willing to get up there on a debate stage. I want to vote for people like Beto O'Rourke. I want to vote for people that want to get in their faces and debate them on national television or whatever network. I don't like the fact that she hasn't gone and debated Kari Lake and refused to do so. And I think Kari Lake is going to win tonight. I think the state of Nevada is going to be okay. I could be wrong. I don't think Adam Laxalt wins. I don't think Jim Marchant wins. I don't think Joe Lombardo wins. I don't think Sigal Chattah wins. I think the Democrats are okay in the state of Nevada, but I think Democrats are in trouble in other areas of the country, and I think Arizona is one of them. But we will have to wait and see what happens. Sarah, I wish Beto O'Rourke good luck. I hope he gets the W tonight, and if he does, you'll be the first person I'll want to talk to about that. So I appreciate you coming on as always, and thank you so much, and keep up the great work, okay?
And thank you for getting the word out about Beto. We all appreciate you so much, Brian. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
I love Beto O'Rourke. I love just about everything that he stands for. He's a good man, and I would always support him. Sarah Spector joining us, the former assistant DA out there in Uvalde. Always a pleasure when she comes on. Thank you so much, Sarah. We'll have you on again very, very soon. All right. So we're going to get to some sports here. It's election day, right? It's an election Tuesday. But just to reiterate everything in the last 90 minutes, boy, you missed a lot. If you're just joining us, it is election Tuesday. There are a lot of scumbags on the right that are running for office all over the country, including here. There might be a few scumbags on the left, too. I'm not saying that there are any Democrats that are scumbags. Adam Laxalt's a scumbag. Okay, let's just call it what it is. If you're thinking of voting today and you have several more hours to do so, maybe a little more than that, to reiterate what I said earlier, okay? Adam Laxalt is an election-denying scumbag who failed out of school, who was arrested for assaulting a police officer, came from a very privileged family, and he continues to lie. And he has said himself that if he loses, he's not going to concede today. That is a threat to democracy. When I say threat to democracy, Adam Laxalt's a threat to democracy. If you're voting for Adam Laxalt, I don't even know what to tell you. He's just a complete fool. I love Joe Walsh. He comes on this show all the time. Here's what Joe Walsh put on social media today about Kari Lake. He said, I've often said Donald Trump lies as he breathes. If he couldn't lie, he'd stop breathing. I also think if Kari Lake couldn't lie and spread dangerous conspiracies, she'd literally just wither away. I agree with Joe Walsh 150%. Kari Lake said on social media that she's been flooded with calls and text messages from people who are having trouble voting all over Maricopa County. Kari Lake is a liar. She also put up on her social media that if you cast your ballot, it probably won't be, you won't get result. It won't be counted for 2 weeks. That is a lie. Everything these people are doing are based on lies and misinformation. Adam Laxalt is a liar and a scumbag. If you don't believe me, ask the 14 members of his immediate family who are voting for his opponent. Jim Marchant is a QAnon conspirator who Adam Laxalt backs. Sigal Chattah, if you're thinking of voting for that nutjob wacko, she's the one who said she wanted her opponent hanging from a crane. If these are the type of people that you're voting for today, then you and me have nothing in common. You're not somebody that I want in my life. And you yourself are a threat to the democracy of the United States of America, the country that I love so much. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. But we are headed in a very wrong direction. And when I say that, I'm not talking about a couple bucks extra a gallon for gas. And I'm not talking about a few extra bucks for your supermarket shopping. That's not what I'm talking about when I say we're headed in a bad direction. I'm talking about democracy as we know it. And if you don't believe me, read some of the quotes of some of the people in the state of Nevada and across the country, if you are on the right, that you have already voted for or you're considering voting for when they talk about elections. And then when I sit here a year from now, 2 years from now, 4 years from now, you'll say, Brian, you were right. You were right. And if you don't know what a threat to democracy is, go back and take a look at the video of January 6th, which was immediately caused by Donald Trump and his election lies. Because that's what they are. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. I have some ideas of what's going to happen. I actually think Democrats are going to be okay in this state, but they are not okay in other parts of the country. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. But I can tell you one thing, Democrats will probably concede if they lose tonight. Republicans will not. The overwhelming majority of Republicans in office will not concede because they are scumbags. That's why. They are election deniers. But if you listen to right-wing echo chamber radio, Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, those in this local town who I couldn't listen to for more than 10 seconds, but Kevin Wall, Alan Stock, Wayne Allen Kook, they're not going to talk about election deniers at all today. They're going to talk about how bad the Democrats are because of inflation and gas prices and, how wonderful Donald Trump is. That is the Republican echo chamber radio. The Kevin Walls, the Alan Stocks, the Wayne Allen Kooks, who, by the way, Wayne Allen Kook still goes on the air and says millions of people have died from the vaccines. He said Muslims were responsible for October 1. And then when he was caught on that, he said, one of my police officer friends told me. Never named that person, though. Never owned it and took responsibility. Never apologized. That's what these right-wing radio show hosts do. They don't challenge politicians. They just spew out echo chamber radio from the right. And I guarantee you, none of those hosts that I mentioned today will talk about election deniers and our democracy at stake. None of them will. Because, again, they are part of the right-wing radio echo chamber. And I will never do that. And I never will do that. And I'm not a lefty or a righty. I'm an American. I'm an independent. And I see things as they are. And I talk about them on this show. I don't lie when I go on the air. I don't say things that you want to hear. I say things that I believe. I don't take something from Twitter like some morons that I used to work with in radio where they'll take something on Twitter and then they'll just repeat it on their page and then say their video went viral. No, because I'm not a buffoon. I don't do that. I do my own things. I listen to other people. I listen to Republicans and Democrats, and then I form my own opinion. I don't listen to OAN or Newsmax. I listen to some good journalists on Fox News, some fair journalists. There's not many of them, but there are some on Fox News. And then I'll listen to some good journalists on CNN, and then I'll form my own opinions. Because that's what somebody who is responsible, has a platform does. Anybody. You could have 10 listeners or you could have 10 million listeners. It is your responsibility to do your homework and not the type of research that Kyrie Irving does. I'm talking about real homework and then form your own opinions. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I went to the UNLV basketball game yesterday. My thoughts on UNLV basketball? Oh, I have a lot of opinions when it comes to UNLV basketball after watching the game yesterday. We'll talk about that. UNLV football has a big game Friday night. We'll talk about that as well. And the Las Vegas Raiders have released somebody. I'm not going to say it's not somebody of significance, but I'll give you a hint. It's not the coaching staff, and it's not our quarterback. I'll talk about that when we come back as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement, and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Best of Las Vegas winners each of the last 2 years. Glazed Donuts is a family business. Taste the passion and quality in each delectable handmade donut. Experience amazing fresh donuts at Glazed Donuts, located at 6545 South Fort Apache Road on the southwest corner of Sunset. Glaze is open every day from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you're interested in large orders, please call them at 702-246-2888. Follow Glaze on Facebook and Instagram, where they're showing off all their delicious treats. And check them out at glazedonutslv.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits here on a Tuesday. Sometimes I forget what day it is, but it is Tuesday today. My mind has been spinning today. I've been called worse, but today I've been called a liar. I've been called a Democrat, but that happens to me every day. What else was I called? A couple other things, Numchuck, right? I've been called a few things today. Have I been called sexy?
No.
That's unfortunate. That doesn't happen every day for me, but once in a while I get a little lucky. Anyway, speaking of sexy, Numchuck, I don't know if you'll be joining me on Tuesday, November 15th. Everyone's invited. It's a $200 donation. It's the 15th annual Ping Pong Palooza, and it's all for charity. 100% of the proceeds go to the Sapphire Prostate Foundation. Team of 4. It's a ping pong tournament. You get a buffet for everyone on your team, and you also get a free drink. It's 7 p.m. again, Tuesday, November 15th. You can sign up for it at sapphireprostatefoundation.org/ping-pong. I know I will be there, Numchuck. I've heard rumors that Chris Wynn will be there as well. I don't know.
Might show up.
He might even be topless.
No.
Oh, you don't know that he won't be topless, or no, you don't want to see it?
No, I don't want to see it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I do, because I think it'd be fun. It'd be fun to make fun of him. That's all. It's enjoyable. That's all. But anyway, I hope you hope you get a chance to come out and support a great cause for prostate cancer. All right, so went to the UNLV basketball game yesterday, and I had never watched a practice this year, and I never went to one practice. I saw the transfers they got, and my opinions before ever watching this team play was as follows. They're going to be offensively challenged. They don't have a go-to guy. They lost their offense last year. Now, I was making assumptions, and then I said, all right, let's give this team a chance. Let's go watch them yesterday. And by the way, I love Kevin Kruger. Great guy. Not a bad coach at all. But he had some assistants leave, and I'm sure that interrupted his recruiting process. That certainly wasn't easy. They got a lot of transfers. And in watching the game yesterday, all of my assumptions on this team were correct. They are offensively challenged. They don't have a ton of shooters that are consistent. They don't really have a true guard, in my personal opinion, that can create for themselves and others. And they don't really have a go-to guy. I mean, they lost Hamilton last year, who is an NBA talent type player. I don't know if he'll have a career in the NBA longevity, but certainly he was an all-conference player, and he deservingly so. He's very, very gifted offensive player. And let's not forget about Williams as well. Those were two guys that could score from pretty much anywhere on the court. Williams was also a guy who could score with his back to the basket. That is a big issue with this team. I'll get to the defense in a little bit. They really don't have a threat underneath the basket who can score and post up. And in the Mountain West Conference, that is a must. Right? I remember Roddy last year for Colorado State, who's in the NBA now. He was an absolute beast. It's why Colorado State had so much success last year. Robinson with Fresno State, and even though Fresno State struggled last year, Robinson, a hell of a player, Vegas protege. When you look at these Mountain West teams that are successful, they always have that one guy in the paint that's a threat. UNLV doesn't have that this year. They don't have a guy where you say to yourself, okay, in our offensive sets, we want to get the ball under the basket with our back, and get this ball to this person in the post. They really don't have that. They really don't have a really good point guard who can set other guys up. Gilbert is not really a true one. He's more of a 2 and a 3, and I don't think he's very good handling the basketball. He's very gifted. He's going to get better, and he can score, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's a great shooter. He can score off the dribble, but this team is really offensively challenged. And listen, I'm not even going to talk about the win they had yesterday against Southern. They're probably one of the worst D1 teams in college basketball. They're terrible. They had one guy that could shoot. I think UNLV will probably be okay defensively, and that's why they'll be in a lot of games this year. But this is not a team that is better than they were last year. Mark my words, I tell you that right now. And they're talking about, well, our goal is to make it to March Madness, folks. I can tell you right now, I will eat my shorts if I am wrong. UNLV is not going to make it to March Madness, at least not the NCAA tournament. Is there an outside chance that maybe you could see them in the NIT because their strength of schedule is so weak? But, the NIT also looks at that. You got to have some signature wins. Who are they going to beat? Obviously, you look at the calendar, and right now Dayton, I know the season just started. I don't know how good Dayton is, but they are a preseason poll 24 team in the country. That would be a nice signature win. But where is the offense going to come from? I can tell you, these games in the Mountain West, UNLV is going to be scoring in the 60s, and they're going to have to win games in the 60s. If you're playing a team that scores in the 70s, UNLV ain't going to win because I just don't think they have enough talented players on offense to do so. And I like Kevin Kruger. I like him personally. I think he's a good guy. Don't think he's a bad coach. Marvin Menzies, bad basketball coach. Dave Rice, bad head coach. There's a reason why Dave Rice isn't coaching right now. Marvin Menzies, not a very I know he was successful at New Mexico State, but that the WAC is not very good, and he recruited. I'll give him credit for that. He recruited, but Marvin Menzies not a good head coach. The question is still out there for Kevin Kruger. And again, I like Kevin. His dad, Lon Kruger, legend. I mean, that was the last time UNLV was really winning games in the NCAA tournament was when Lon Kruger was coaching here. I like Kevin a lot. Players like him. He's a good dude. He's easy to root for. I mean, I say that over and over again about Kevin. I really like him a lot. But he is going to have his work cut out for him this year. The one thing I will say that could help UNLV is the Mountain West is terrible. I mean, these is not the days when you had Kawhi Leonard at San Diego State and Jimmer Fredette when BYU was in the conference. Ever since BYU left the conference has never been the same. And there's a reason why these teams can't win NCAA tournament games, right? Nevada can't win games, at least not since Steve Alford took over. They haven't been very good. That's a little bit of a surprise to me. Musselman did a good job. They won games in the NCAA tournament when Musselman was there. He's a very good head coach. That's why he moved on to a better conference. And, Musselman's a good head coach. But the Mountain West Conference really hasn't had signature wins in the NCAA tournament since Kawhi Leonard at San Diego State and Jimmer Fredette at BYU. That was a great, great time for the Mountain West Conference. Either one of those two teams, you could have made the argument competing for a national championship. That's how good they were. Especially San Diego State. Especially San Diego State that year. And remember, that year Davies was out for BYU because God forbid the Mormons. God forbid if you have sex with a woman, you can't compete. That's what happened with Davies. But anyway, that's another story for another show. But UNLV's in for some trouble this year. It's going to be a tough brand of basketball to watch. I'm going to be going to every game because I love college basketball and I am rooting for Kevin. But I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a tough brand of basketball to watch. It's going to be slow, half-court offense. And I got to be honest with you, I have no idea where the offense is going to come from. So my original opinions on UNLV basketball stay the same. They're going to struggle offensively in a bad Mountain West Conference. They're going to be in some games because I think defensively they're going to be physical and they're going to be good because Kevin's going to get them to buy in and play defense. But they're going to be an average team in a below-average conference. I don't know what else to tell you. That's just the reality of where UNLV basketball is. As far as UNLV football goes, they got a big game Friday, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as the week goes on. But this is a big game for UNLV football. They haven't really had a big game in a long time. They're playing Fresno State, and we'll get into that a little bit more later in the week. 702-221-7283. Again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Fernando. Fernando, what's going on, man?
I'm doing okay. I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Why did the assistants leave? More money?
Yeah.
Be closer to family?
No,
or what?
more money. Better programs, more money. Really, it's as simple as that, Fernando, and I can't really blame them. Kevin Kruger's top assistant moved on for a better job with more money. That's what a lot of these coaches at UNLV do. It's why TJ Otzelberger left. More money, bigger program. That's as sad as this sounds, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Fernando, if Arroyo only wins 5 games this year, which he very well only might win 5, I could absolutely see him going somewhere else. And he's done.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. So that's my answer there. Go ahead.
That's what UNLV's problem is. We don't pay coaches or assistants enough money for they could stay longer and build something. Mm-hmm. Now, this team this year, basketball team, I say they probably went 15, 17 games. Now we could possibly be like Butler. Or we could be like, Butler of the past teams of the years past, or Loyola Chicago.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind teams like that. You know what I mean?
Well, Loyola Chicago's made the NCAA tournament, and they had that one deep run, and they've had a lot of success. When it comes to UNLV basketball, when was the last time they had real success? The pathetic thing about it, Fernando, is that when you look at all the NBA players now, like the Christian Woods of the world and Jones, Dave Rice had so much NBA talent. And by the way, he didn't recruit like any of these guys. It was more Ryan Miller, who's a great guy. I think he's at TCU now as an assistant, and Todd Simon, who's the head coach at Southern Utah. He had so much NBA talent, and people were going to games just to watch the NBA talent, and he couldn't win in March. So I hear what you're saying about Loyola Chicago and all that. It shouldn't be hard to recruit guys here at UNLV, but that's the one disappointment I have with Kevin is that I just don't think he recruited enough talented guys.
Yeah, that's true. Going down to football, I went down to see UNLV play San Diego State.
Yep.
And Coach Arroyo, 4th and 5 at the 46, late in the game, doesn't go for it. Punts the ball, and the Rebels don't see the ball
I
ever
remember
again.
that. Fernando, I remember that. I was watching the game live, and I know exactly the play that you're talking about. So, Fernando, here's you tell me what you think. You tell me if you think I'm right or wrong here. Here's my thoughts on Arroyo. He doesn't have a signature win. People want to talk about the win on the road against Utah State. I understand they haven't won there in 8 or 9 years. It's still not a signature win because Utah State's not a good football team this year. If they went on the road and they beat Utah State last year with a healthy Bonner as quarterback, I would have said that's a signature win. Utah State's not good. Who have they beaten this year? Who have they beaten?
Nobody.
Thank you.
Nobody at all.
Yeah,
and they're going to play. They're going to play Fresno State on Friday.
Yep.
Fresno State scored 60 points the other night.
Yeah, Hawaii's bad, but I agree with you. Okay, so here's the thing, Fernando. Here's the thing. If he wins on Friday night, and assuming they beat Hawaii, which I think they will, and if they beat Nevada and he gets to 7 wins, I have nothing but accolades, and I will give him nothing but compliments while saying I hope he can follow up with a good year next year. You got to give him kudos. If he gets to 6 wins, regardless, if he beats Nevada, lose to Fresno, let's assume, which is a fair assumption. I mean, they could beat Fresno. I don't think they will. If they beat Nevada and they beat Hawaii, then you have to give him credit for making a ball game. But I'm not about to say he's the coach of the year either because he hasn't convinced me yet.
Now, this is the worst-case scenario. They lose Friday. They lose to Hawaii. So that means the Nevada game will be a pride game.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think I really do think they beat Hawaii. Hawaii's really bad, Fernando. They're a really bad football team, and the fact that Brumfeld has got 1 game back under his belt, I think he will be better Friday. This Fresno game, Fernando, is going to be very interesting. Now, Fresno has some nice wins. They beat San Jose State, right? Didn't they beat San Diego State too? If I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember. I know they're over 500. I know they're 5-4. And let's keep in mind, Fernando, they're trying to make a bowl game too. So this is a big game for them as well. Fresno State's not a pushover, and that's why they're favored by 9.5, 10 points. This is an enormous game for UNLV because if you lose this game, right, then your back's against the wall and you got to win 2 in a row. So this is, if they win Friday, they're making a bowl game. They're going to beat either Hawaii or Nevada. Nevada's not a very good football team either, but we'll see, right?
What's the rumor of San Diego State and San Jose State going to the Pac-12?
Boy, I'll tell you. The Mountain West. The Mountain West is already terrible. Both the basketball and the football conferences are really bad, and it's going to be
worse than the nation.
It's going to be arguably the worst conference in the country if you lose those 2 teams, right? I don't know if that's going to happen. It could. It could. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
UNLV has to make a move to the Pac-12. Get that conference money.
Boy,
that's what they need.
If you're the Pac-12, do you really want UNLV?
Sure. We don't care. We just get in there and get the money, the conference money, and then you can build from there.
I got to tell you, I mean, it would be exciting to watch. Yeah, it'd be exciting to watch some of these Pac-12 teams like Arizona. You know, it'd be exciting to watch these teams come to Vegas. I'll be honest with you, especially the basketball programs. Pretty good basketball conference and not a bad football conference either. But keep in mind, they played Cal, and they lost to arguably the worst team in the Pac-12 in football. But, hey, I'm all for it, Fernando. I want to see you think it's exciting? All due respect to Air Force, they're all heroes. You think it's exciting to watch Air Force and Boise State come to town and to watch San Jose State basketball program come to town? These are horrible basketball games that make me want to throw up. These are terrible teams, right? I know Boise's had a success last year, but these are not fun basketball teams to watch. I mean, I would love the Pac-12 them to be in the Pac. I just don't think it's going to happen. That's all.
But it's time to move forward and go to a bigger yard to play. You know, conference money and better teams and better competition. I should say.
Hey, I'm
and
all
then
for
go
it.
From there.
I'm all for it.
But
man.
We'll see what happens. Buddy. You guys take care. Guys take care now.
Thanks, Fernando. Appreciate the call. I got to get to this Raiders breaking news. It happened a few hours ago. Jonathan Abrams has been waived. He is no longer a Raiders player. If this is their big announcement to make, then I don't think anything is going to change with this team. But Jonathan Abrams has been released. Now, what does that mean for the Raiders? Well, not much. I mean, not much. If you told me Derek Carr's been released, then that would be big news. If you told me Josh McDaniels was fired, that would be big news. I got to tell you, with Jeff Saturday taking over, which I think he was just as shocked as anybody that he got the job. I guess he was like a paid consultant. He was on the payroll for the Colts. The fact that he's the new head football coach here, that's not necessarily a positive for the Raiders. That could be a negative. And I say that because sometimes teams respond. Jeff Saturday is a very likable guy. Say what you want about him. He's a likable guy with a lot of enthusiasm. He knows the game. And if the Raiders, and I say if, I was wrong on the Raiders against the Jaguars. I thought they were going to win that game. I was wrong. So I'm done predicting Raiders games. But because I have no idea what's going to happen on Sunday. I'd like to think that the Raiders will respond, but they certainly didn't respond last week. So I don't know. But think about this for a second. If the Raiders lose to the Colts, you lose to the Saints, one of the worst teams in football, and they looked terrible against Baltimore yesterday. Keep in mind, the Raiders were shut out. They lost 24-0. You lose to the Saints, and then you lose to the Jaguars after blowing a 17-point lead, one of the worst teams in football. And if you lose to the Colts on Sunday at home, is it out of the realm of possibility to say maybe Josh McDaniels loses his job? Yeah, I don't think that's out of the realm. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility either. I mean, this is unfounded territory when you look at the talent that the Raiders have, and it's the inexcusable losses. This is really embarrassing, I guess, is the word that comes to mind for me. I mean, in front of your home fans, there's going to be a lot of boos on Sunday unless the Raiders get it done. And by the way, the Colts are not a good football team. They're pretty bad. That's why they just fired their coach. But I would still argue the Colts are probably a better football team than the Jaguars. The Colts are probably a better football team than the Saints. The Raiders have lost to bad football teams, and that's what they were able to do last year. The Raiders were able to beat the bad teams last year, and they were able to beat Miami at home in a tight game. They beat the Ravens in overtime last year. So I don't know, man. We'll have to wait and see. Michelle Mortensen's going to be joining us in studio tomorrow. If you listen to the show today, it's probably going to be a battle in studio.
God.
Yeah. Election coverage. It'll be a battle tomorrow. Bring the earplugs, Numchuck. But thanks for joining us, everybody. I appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of